Friends, we wanted to open up the waiting room so that people can see that we're actually doing this evening. We will start at 6:30. Probably wait a few minutes for everyone to give people a few more times to come in. But welcome. Good evening to you all. We get ourselves a little situated here. We're going to give a minute or two for anyone else who might be trying to sign on, and we will begin at 6:30. There will be an opportunity for you to provide an introduction of who you are and what organization you are representing. So be prepared to come on camera at that time, if you would, please. We're going to be starting in a few minutes here. Give it a minute or two for other people to sign on, and we will begin our technical assistance program for our reparations grant system or process. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Canon Chris McLeod. I am Canon to the Ordinary for Administration in the Episcopal Diocese of Maryland, as well as the Chief of Staff. Welcome to our 2025 Reparations Grant Funding Process Technical Assistance Session. This is an opportunity for us to go over the application process, to provide you with some basic information as it relates to completing a funding application for a reparations grant, and to also provide you with an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have here as we go through the process. We are very pleased and glad to have you with us, and we welcome you. Very briefly, we're going to go over what the agenda will be for this evening. The agenda we'll do an overview of our funding opportunity, go over the key steps to completing your application, how to read the solicitation, how to complete the application, and how to understand what the review process of assessing the grants will be, how you submit the applications, and as I said, an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you might have regarding the process. I'd like to take an opportunity just to do some brief introductions. I'd like to introduce to you the Reverend Angela Furlong, who is one of our co-chairs for the Reparations Committee. And I am going to give the floor to Reverend Angela.
Hi, everyone. This is Reverend Angela Furlong. I'm a priest in Central Maryland, and I co-chair with Justin Rose, who is also, I believe, on this meeting. Together, we work with a committee that comprises of about 12 people who will be reviewing all of the applications in a team effort. So every application will be reviewed a minimum of 3 people. And then in the end, the whole committee will review all of them. I am going to go through and see if some of our committee members who are present can introduce themselves. Carolyn, are you here? If you could say who you are and what part of the Diocese of Maryland you're serving.
Okay. My name is Carolyn Armstrong, and I'm a deacon at St. James at Lafayette Square.
Wonderful. Thank you. Erin, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Beth-Shank. I'm the priest in charge at Middleham at St. Peter's Parish in Lusby and Solomons.
Thank you. Let's see. Peter, I think I saw you come on. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Peter Sabonis, and I am a parishioner at St. James in Mount Airy, Maryland.
Thank you. Jason, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Jason Hoffman, the Director of Communications for the Episcopal Diocese of Maryland, and kind of the host of the meeting on the technology side.
Thank you so much. Justin, are you able to say hello? Are you?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Justin Rose. I'm a parishioner at St. Bartholomew's in Baltimore, and I have the pleasure of being co-chair along with Reverend Angela Furlong.
Thank you. And I believe you know Canon Chris. She also leads all of this. And I don't believe any of the other committee members have signed on. If I missed you, please
Can't
raise your
ra-
hand.
Ken and Randy.
Yeah, I'm calling him next because I'm handing it over to him next. I just didn't want to skip over anybody else. Okay, I don't see any other committee members, so now I'm going to turn it over to Canon Randy, who is also, he has multiple roles in this committee.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Canon Randy Callender, and I serve as the Canon for Mission here in the Episcopal Diocese of Maryland. And I too want to thank you all for joining us tonight as we take an important step towards justice, healing, and reconciliation. Angela, I'm assuming that you're handed over. You want me to go through my piece. So tonight, I'm just going to share a brief history of kind of what brought us to this moment and outline the goals and objectives of our reparations grant program. And as a group, we'll provide guidance on how you can apply as we go through this gathering tonight. But this grant is about more than funding. I often say it's about relationships. It's about love and action. I often say to people, don't just tell me you love me, show me. And so this grant is one way for our diocese to demonstrate love by just actively contributing to the rebuilding and empowerment of Black communities. And so to understand where we are today, I just want to briefly kind of look back at our history. And some of this you'll see, of course, on the website when you apply for the reparation grant. But back in 2019, our former bishop, he issued a pastoral letter acknowledging the diocese or our church community's historical role in systemic racism and called us to action. And so this letter led to the creation of a task force on reparation, which was tasked with exploring the history, gathering data, and just proposing ways to begin addressing the harm caused by systemic racism. And then building on this foundation, during our convention, when our leaders, lay and clergy, came together in 2021 at our convention, there was a resolution passed committing $1 million to a reparations seed fund. And this was a bold step for us as a church and our commitment to justice and healing. And then it was in 2021 that the work of the task force then transitioned to a formal reparations committee, which you have the opportunity of meeting some of our committee members here tonight. This committee was charged with managing the fund and creating this framework to distribute grants to organizations and programs that are dedicated to uplifting Black communities. And so this reparation grant program, as I said before, is one way that we are living out our commitment by funding programs that will rebuild and empower communities that was historically harmed by these injustices. And so I want to focus on the goals and objectives for the grant program. The Reparation Fund is intended to support programs, organizations within our geographic boundaries of the Diocese of Maryland that uplifts African American Black communities. The grants up to $50,000 will be rewarded with, of course, additional availability for startup programs as well can apply for these grants as well. And so the primary focus of the program, of course, is to address the lack of resources in communities of color, to mend and strengthen relationships within these communities. And this program, I often like to tell people, is not designed to benefit the institutional church. It's not to benefit us. You know, congregations and their ministries are not eligible to apply unless they hold independent non-profit status. But the focus is on extending resources to where they are most needed and fostering healing and equity across our communities. And so funding requests should demonstrate the 5 pillars. And this is how your program can can show significant impact in one or more of these areas. If you're applying for the grant, we're hoping that it addresses education, enhancing opportunities and promoting access to quality education. Healthcare, elder care is the second pillar, which is reducing, health disparities and improving the well-being. The next one is affordable housing, increasing access to safe, affordable housing options. Then you have environmental sustainability, mitigating the efforts of environmental degradation in marginalized communities. And then the fifth and final pillar, of course, is job creation or micro economic investment. So stimulating job creation and local economic development. So if you're focusing on these 5 pillars, we hope that it will address these critical needs and support the long-term well-being of the communities that we serve. And so I'll just say that we understand that applying for this grant, everyone is hoping to get it. And we're hoping that, again, you address these things in the model when you're filling out the application. I just want to leave with the thought that reparation, again, is not just about money, but it's about repairing what is broken, and the funds will help with that. And this is a way of building a better and stronger future. This is a tangible way, as I said before, of expressing a love in action. And so I'm hoping that what you all who are applying for this grant is showing that impact that your work will do and help to uplift and empower others. And together with this grant and our support and working in relationships, we can create a world that reflects the justice, the mercy, and love. So thank you. And that's the piece that I wanted to share.
Thanks, Ken and Randy. Okay, can you just take the PowerPoint down for a second so that we can give an opportunity for those who are attending to introduce themselves? To make this a little bit easier, I'm just going to call on the names that I see in my box. If you can just tell me your name and what organization you are representing, would be great. Be nice to hear who we are talking with this evening. So, Mr. Woodson, Ernest Woodson.
Yes. Good evening, and good evening to all the committee members. And I spoke to Mr. Chandler this evening. So thank you for talking to me earlier this evening, Mr. Chandler. My name is Ernest Woodson. I am the president of Fathers Incorporated. We've been around since 1987, but we were officially applied for and received the federal nonprofit status of IRS. We're incorporated in Maryland, but we're incorporated in the Prince George's County community. Our mission is to promote the traditional values of brotherhood, manhood, fatherhood, and gentlemanship, and encourage the concept of family and community.
Thank you. Missy Cochran.
Hi, I work for the Samaritan community, which actually grew out of Memorial Episcopal in Bolton Hill, but is itself nonprofit. It has been for over 30 years. And I'm very new there, but the mission is similar to what you have been describing tonight. Almost all of our clients are African American and in great need of many things. We do a lot of housing work and other human services.
Thank you.
For our clients.
Elspeth Collard.
Hi, everyone. My name's Elspeth, and I work at the Sixth Branch, which is a nonprofit in Baltimore that works in urban farming as well as urban canopy work and also does food access work. Thank you so much for having me.
Great, welcome. Valencia Wood.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Valencia Wood, and I'm the co-founder of the Mandala School in Columbia, Maryland. We are a K through 12th grade private school serving Baltimore, Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and all points around our perimeter.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Edwin Advent.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Edward Avent, and I am the CEO of the Five Smooth Stones Foundation, and we are the operator of Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys. So we are a charter school in Baltimore City, serving boys 4th grade to 8th grade. 98% of our population are African American boys. We're expanding soon to pre-K, as well as creating a men's academy to try to provide job training to the fathers and the brothers of the boys that go to our schools.
Thank you. Welcome. Barbara Cooper. Ms. Cooper, you're still muted. You're still muted.
Okay, how about
There
now?
you go. There you go.
Sorry. Good evening. My name is Barbara Cooper. I'm representing Lisa B. Williams, the Executive Director for the Baltimore City Medical Society. Ms. Williams had all intentions to be present tonight. Unfortunately, due to an emergency, she's not able to get on. I am a part of a volunteer organization under the Baltimore City Medical Society, which is the Community Health Advocates. And I am an advocate with the society, and we go out in the community to educate individuals to live healthy lives. And it's our hope and desire, of course, to get some funds to extend this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Pauline Lyles.
Hi, good evening. As you said, my name is Pauline Lyles, and the program was brought to my attention by a friend of mine who was a member of the Episcopal Church. Well, in fact, she still is. She had brought it to my attention that I should probably attend just to get some information because she hears me talking a lot about how I have been trying to develop a nonprofit that is geared more so towards the veterans of the community, just all around Baltimore City, because I have a strong veteran history, as well as in my family, and I just always feel for them because I feel that they just do not get enough services, and they sort of kind of like the forgotten people of the community. It doesn't. So I told her, I said, I don't think basically the reparations I would qualify because it's not geared towards just an African American community. Although there is a large African American population in the veteran community. But so I'm basically here on her recommendation just to kind of listen and get information.
Great. Thank you and welcome. Dr. Stellar. Okay.
Yes, good evening. Yes, I'm Dr. Stella Nemoseso. I am working with Dr. Ezugu and Lisa Williams, who is with the Baltimore City Society. We are with the Global Association of Benevolent Practitioners. We train community health workers to go out in the community, in the marginalized African American community, educating them on how to help people with high blood pressure and heart disease. So I won't say too much, but I'm here with Dr. Ezugu, who probably introduced himself, and we are on a mission to train the trainer to bring the resources to the people who are close to the people so they can better understand how to help people around them working as community health workers, because we know that the African American communities are plagued with every kind of disease out there, but the work of the community health workers make a difference. So we've developed a course which we are seeking support so we can train at least 60 community health workers and help them create sustainability and employment jobs for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome. Whoever the representative is from the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. Okay, moving on.
My name is Ms. Perry. I'm member services with the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce. I'm also here with our Executive Director, Toby Pooley. The purpose of our organization is to support and it's to support the growth and development of Black-owned and operated businesses and to advocate for the economic empowerment within the African American community in the greater Baltimore metropolitan area. So we have a number of goals or initiatives that focus on, providing consultation seminars, educational information, summits, in addition to membership activities, joint ventures, a number of activities to establish relationships with the small businesses within the African American community.
Thank you and welcome. Mr. Scruggs?
Good evening, everyone. Delavego Scruggs. I'm from Kingdom Care Incorporated, the Director of Grants Management. We're in Odenton, Maryland. We do a lot throughout the community with regard to our Family Support Center that has a host of programs and services, as well as we have a violence interruption program. We have a food distribution program that's been running for 3 years straight every week on Monday and Tuesday, in a teen mothers program where we have a partnership and an agreement with the Arundel County Public School System. And we have 15 teen mothers and their infants and toddlers who come to our center every day for alternative education, as well as the care for their children in our nationally accredited child care center. Thanks for having me.
Thank you and welcome. Dr. Camillus?
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for this program. Yeah, I'm Dr. Zugu. I'm a cardiologist here in Baltimore with the Heart Disease Prevention and Training Center, Global Association of Benevolent Practitioners, which Dr. Stella mentioned. We really focus on heart disease and train community, health workers. And Barbara Cooper is also on the line, and we work together with Baltimore City Medical Society and the foundation to train people on that. So thank you. And Miss Pauline, we would like to hear more about the VA program too, so we can see if we can get a community health worker trained in that regard as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you and welcome.
Sure.
Whomever the representative from SJDC.
Good evening, Ken and Chris, and the representatives of the committee. My name is Dick Williams. I'm currently serving as an advisor to the board of the St. James Development Corporation of West Baltimore. SJDC, as we call ourselves for short, its mission includes 2 environmental justice projects, one founding an interblock park in Harlem Park, and the other installing a green streetscape infrastructure also in Harlem Park and also in Sandtown, Winchester. Thank you for the opportunity to say hello.
Great, thanks, Dick. The Greater Mount Holly Community Development Corporation.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm joining from Greater Mount Holly Community Development CDC, where we're located adjacent to Gwynns Falls Park. We work with youth who are aging out of group homes to provide housing options for them, as that is a dire need in the state. And we have a number of sites under our control thanks to our relationship with Baltimore City Housing. We have successfully developed and operationalized programs as it relates to green workforce development. We're a recipient of an EPA grant for the said purpose, and we're now at the next stage, which is housing development. Thank you.
Great, thank you and welcome. Paris Brown.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. Did I raise my hand or?
No, we're just calling on everyone who's on screen to introduce themselves. I see where you're from. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Paris Frown from the Baltimore Times.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Toby Pulley. Okay, we're going to move on. Veronica Henderson. Okay. Amanda. All right. We're going to continue to move on so that we can not be here all evening. So, there's a couple of
Sorry,
things.
this is Veronica Henderson. I was having trouble unmuting.
Sorry, okay.
I'm using a cell phone, so I'm not really used to doing it Zoom on here.
No problem.
Thank you. I'm sorry. My name is Veronica Henderson, and we are actually a new organization. We are the Mabel Escuin Youth on the Move organization. I've been in childcare for 17 years, and I saw that there was a need for some of the older children that were going on to high school to be introduced to historically Black colleges and raise awareness with etiquette and help them assist them with filling out college applications and just overall introducing them to resources that were not necessarily or are not necessarily readily available to them. We also do historically Black college tours, local and also away. We go as far as Atlanta. And then we also provide various workshops for the youth to assist them in just their overall endeavors and their next stages of life, even if they're not going away to school.
Great. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Amanda.
Hi,
Okay.
I'm a new member of the board, RTS. Amanda Harris.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So we're going to talk about what we need to do before we start filling out applications for the granting process. Please take your time to read through the solicitation and the application thoroughly. We will walk through the application with you in a few minutes, but make sure you understand it's not very complicated, our process, but we're asking you to be very thorough in the information that you provide to us. Pay attention to the scoring point system as it directly relates to your responses and how clarity is very important in your responses. The clearer you are, the better able the committees who will be reviewing the applications can assess a fair score to the applications. Please note that the submission date for the applications is on February 18th by 12 noon. There will be no extensions granted, so please, please, please do what you need to do to have your application submitted by noon on February 18th. All required items in the application all items that have an asterisk in the applications must be answered. Please make sure you provide the information that is asked of you and pay close attention to the word limits. Two things I want to highlight for us before we move on to the application directly is that one, I want to ensure that people understand that startup organizations are encouraged to apply. It'd be very helpful for you to have clarity about what your goals and missions are, and these applications will be scored separately from organizations who have been operational for 3 years or more. We have made a commitment early on in our process that often startup organizations just never have an opportunity to access grant funds early on in the process. We wanted to make sure that this opportunity was provided for startups. A startup is defined from an organization or an entity that actually hasn't even received their 501c3 yet, but has a fully shaped and formed overview of a program that they're looking to do to an organization up to 3 years. An organization 3 years or more, it will be considered a fully functional operational organization. So if you are a startup organization, do not hesitate to think that you're going to be scored against entities that have been in existence for a long time or that are offering a lot of services. This is the window that we are trying to provide for startup organizations to be scored against similar entities that are in the same space. So don't be discouraged by that. Be mindful and do the work and get your application in. The committee did have to make a decision regarding previously funded organizations. We had originally started off indicating that organizations who had received funding grants in the previous 3 years would be able to apply for funding every other year. It is really clear that based on the number of applications we have received every single year, we really need to continue to keep this process open for new entities who are seeking funding. I know it's always difficult to try to maintain funding for continuing activities. The goal of the Reparations Committee, though, from the Diocese of Maryland is to be impactful in as many areas as possible through as many organizations as possible. So for the time being, if you have received a reparations grant previously, we are not considering applications for those who have received them at this time. Kate, I'm going to pass this on to you so that you can help do the walkthrough of the application itself.
Thank you, Ken and Chris. Sorry. I'm going to directly show us what the application will look like, so that way you all can see it on your screen. So basically, in order for us to make it as easy as possible and as functional as possible, we describe and explain what we're seeking in the very beginning, which is also available on our website. We also explain the scoring rubric that impacts the way that you answer and fill out the form. This will become available as of February 15th. Or no,
Yes.
January 15th, January 15th.
January 15th.
We're not giving you 3 days. That would be absurd. So January 15th, this will become live on our website, but these are the rubric with which we point system. And then this is the schedule with the dates, as you will see later in the presentation. So the way that this form starts is that we ask you to name your organization in this first box. And then you will choose whether or not you fall under the category of a startup, which is an organization that is newer than 3 years, or if you function as an established organization. This choice will impact the questions that show up for you later on in the form that have to do more with your finances, because as a startup, you probably will not have the documentation from auditing for this years that we're looking for, where established organizations will have that. So from a startup organization, we will have the same kind of answers for the location of where you're at, a primary contact for your organization, meaning an executive director or a primary coordinator, a program manager, somebody that is near the top of your organization. And then a secondary organization contact point that must be a board officer.
Okay, let me just provide some clarification there for startups. Usually, if you are not a formal 501c3 yet, or have not been given a 501c3 designation, in order to begin a company or anything along these lines, you have to minimally have at least 2 to 3 officers. That would be like the executive director, a treasurer, and a secretary. Understanding that you would not necessarily have a full-fledged board, although some not-for-profits do have that, Please make sure that whoever's going to be named in your 501c3 paperwork as officers would be one of the additional officers named in that section.
Thank you for that clarification, Ken and Chris. We also are asking for an organization's website URL. We understand that some startups may not potentially have that. We're hoping that you might, and if you don't, then I think we determined that putting something in this block, because it is required, that says you're working on it or working towards it will be applicable, at least to get the form submitted, and then we evaluate later. We have a place for your other social media. Here you provide a vision of your project's mission. This is specific to startups. This does not show up for established organizations. Instead, established organizations have another narrative option. We also ask that startup organizations that are currently operational also provide information about how their organization is currently working. Right below, if this is not applicable for you, you can put that in that box because it is required, and boxes that are required will have to be filled out. It looks like we have a question.
We'll take all the questions at the end, so please hold on to that. Let's go through the application.
Thank you. And then the purpose of funding request, we ask for 2,000 words or fewer. These boxes take characters, is what you'll see that number here, but we're asking you to monitor your words. That should be about average. We ask for the amount of funding you're requesting, how many individuals or families will be served by this program, what
if you don't know, just give an estimate of what you hope to serve or who you hope to serve.
What geographic areas of Maryland you plan to serve, hope to serve, currently serve. And then you have to indicate the categories in which your program or project meet and follow under our pillar categories. And then you have to explain to us how that work meets the needs of those categories. We also are asking for a detailed budget specific to your project that you're proposing. And then for startup organizations, once again, we're asking you to provide us a 3 to 5 year business plan, detailed budget that will show us what your funding and goals look like through your finances. We are also asking what your organization's annual operation budget is, and describing any other sources of funding that you may be receiving as well. Now, if you are an established organization, most of this is similar, but you would click this established option as an organization that is 3 years or more in the making. And most of this information is all the same, except for when we get down to after the categories and the detailed budget, we ask for your 990 tax forms from 2023.
1 second. Not the entire, we don't need all of the forms.
Yeah, thank you.
All we need is your face sheet of your 990. We do not want to make the same mistake we made before. We do not need your entire tax return. We just need to see the face sheet of your 990.
Thank you for that clarification. So please only include that document. And then we were also requesting it from 2022. It looks like we need a 2023 financial audit or a statement of financial position from your auditor is what we're looking for from this document. This form asks for 2023, 2022, and 2021 face sheets. That's what these 3 drops are. Please be aware that you can save this form as you go. However, documents that are uploaded to this form will not be saved to the form as you fill it out. Your answers in the response forms will, but the documents do not save. So make sure you upload those right before you're going to submit. And then once again, we ask for your organization's annual operating budget, and then other sources of funding and an estimated annual contributions from donors. And so you'll see here, you have save and resume later, which once again does not save your documents, but will save your text inputs. And then a final submit form at the bottom, which the form will no longer be live after noon on February 18th. So please make sure you submit it before then.
Thank you, Kate. We will take answers, questions and answers at the very end. We did not forget that a question came up. Just want to make sure that we can get the all of the information that we want to share with you out before we go into the Q&A. The grant process goes with the submission of the application, where the application form is posted through your submittal. Once all of the applications are received on February 18th, then the applications are actually seen by, originally are only seen by 2 individuals in our diocese, myself and Kate. What we do with the applications once we receive them is, one, we make sure that they're complete and thorough, have all of the paperwork, financials that we have asked for, and then we blind the applications before they are sent to the Reparations Committee for review. We blind the applications to make this a fair and equitable process, so that in the event any of our committee members may know, anyone from the organizations, none of that information is provided to the committee members. As a matter of fact, committee members do not learn who the organizations are until after the decision has been made to award funds to however many entities are going to be awarded. It is only after the fact at our retreat do we all find out who has been selected for the reparations grant. And again, that is to ensure equity and fairness. We also ensure that based on where we know our committee members live throughout the diocese, we try not to assign applications to people who are in those general areas. So again, that we have a very clear sense of fairness and equity for people get to review applications that aren't their neighbors, so to speak. After the applications have been reviewed, after they've been ranked, and a decision has been made, we notify our bishop. We allow our bishop to take the first review and look at those applications that have been selected. And then once Bishop Carey has given her approval, then we provide that information to our diocesan council, which the Reparations Committee is a committee of. The diocesan council for us in the Episcopal Church functions sort of as a board for the church as a whole, and they have the fiduciary responsibility of ensuring that the process was fair, was equitable, and that they are in agreement with the decisions that the committee has made. It is our goal to inform award recipients, those who will be awarded funds. Angela, give me the date again because I just lost it.
May 31st, the award ceremony?
No, when we will notify people. Sadie.
Oh, May 5th.
May 5th. We will notify those awardees by May 5th. And you will be given some additional information. And the award ceremony will be on May 31st, held at our Diocesan Center at 3:00 in the afternoon. Okay. Angela, you want to go over the
process?
Yes.
Sure. Next slide. Okay, so the principles that guide our process include confidentiality. So as Ken and Chris told you, they blind all of the applications. So by the time they come to our committee, we only have the information that informs us of the operations of your project that you're proposing, but we have no idea who the entity is. Fairness, we use tools to minimize bias in the review process to score applications objectively and fairly according to their merits and suitability to the program. And by this, we mean that our committee is made up of members from far and wide across our diocese. And when we gather all of the applications that come in, we intentionally place organizations in a review team that is not in the same geographic area. So there's less of a chance of anyone on that team knowing who the organization is. We do that as best as we can. Equity. Ken and Chris also mentioned about startups. In order to maintain equity, we are separating startup entities from established entities. That way, established organizations are competing for the monies against one another, and startups are competing for the monies against one another. That provides equity. And then transparency. Funding decisions are based on criteria available to reviewers and applicants. We aren't doing any type of secret grading. We are evaluating each application based specifically on the questions that you're asked in the application. Those questions are on our review forms, and we will be using the point scale that is listed at the beginning of your application. Next slide. The Reparations Committee members will serve as the review committee. So that is approximately 12 people from across the diocese. And those members will read the applications and score them using only the information provided in the application, which I just said. So no other information is going to be considered outside of that. And the committee will make funding recommendations based upon the ask and the review. Next slide. Here is the chart of the scoring that we are going to be using. So you can see it goes from outstanding down to above average to below average to unacceptable or missing information. So anywhere from 1 to 5. 5 means that the application goes above and beyond. It meets all that we've asked and or then some. And any shortcomings are very minimal. 4 means that the application excels in many relevant aspects and reasonably addresses all of the others, but some improvements might be possible. 3 means the application excels in some relevant aspects and reasonably addresses all others, but some improvements are necessary. 2, the application broadly addresses relevant aspects, but major revisions are required. And 1, the application fails to provide convincing information, or there are serious flaws or gaps, or some of the information that we're asking for has not been provided.
Just as a note, if information is missing, we will give one opportunity for that information to be submitted. However, it's going to be a very small window. You will either receive a phone call or an email, and you will be given a short time frame in which to gather that information and submit it. We're not trying to push anyone out. We want to give everyone an opportunity and a fairness. It could have been an oversight. It could have been whatever. But if information is missing, we will give you an opportunity to provide it. as long as it is provided before either the time given to you to provide it or definitively by noon on February 18th.
Thank you. So the funding recommendations are ranked by final scores. So we create a form that lists all of the applications and their scores, and then there's a threshold. And then we do a second review after of all of the grants that reach that threshold, and then everyone reviews those. And then we have a final granting review. We have committed ourselves to awarding one startup organization this year. And as I said already, that those startup applications will be scored separately from established organizations. The grant award recommendations are forwarded to Bishop Carey, who will review them and give her consent or not. And then they move forward to Diocesan Council for the review and the final approval. Award recipients will be notified no later than May 5th. And any questions that you might have in the meantime, you can feel free to contact one of the co-chairs, myself or Justin, or the Canon for Communications, which is Jason, at Reparations.
It would be the Canon for Mission.
For Mission. So, okay. The Canon for Mission, which is Randy Callender. But you would still use the same email address, reparations@episcopalmaryland.org.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
I just want to be clear about, we talk about the geographical footprint of the Diocese of Maryland, just so we're clear about what that is. The geographical footprint of Maryland encompasses central, southern, and western Maryland, specifically Allegany, Arundel, Baltimore, Calvert, Carroll, Frederick, Garrett, Harford, Howard, and Washington counties in the city of Baltimore. If you're in PG County or Montgomery County or St. Mary's County, that is actually the Episcopal Diocese of Washington. That is not the Diocese of Maryland. So just so that you have clarity on what what our geographical area is, that is what that is there. All right. For those of you who may have questions, I know earlier that I think it was the Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce had questions.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You mentioned for submission of the Form 990 face sheet. Are you saying just the first cover sheet of the Form 990?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, excellent. Now, this has nothing to do with us, but there are startups we work with, and, if we felt that this is something they can apply for directly. Also, you mentioned if they are in the startup phase and don't have that website ready, what if they have a Facebook page established? Would that work?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
There is a question from Missy Cochran on the in the chat.
Okay, Misty is asking. Oh, yes. Our funding usually goes generally from 25,000 with a max of $50,000. Yeah, $25,000 to $50,000 is what our reparations grants are. Other questions? Can't really see. Jason, if you can unhighlight speakers so I can see the whole. It's hard to see if anybody's hands go up. Great. Are there any other questions that you might have? regarding what the process is, the application. Yes, Missy.
Sorry, I did have a second part of my question. If you said if there's something maybe missing, you would maybe give us a small window to provide it. How about if maybe there's something it would be good if we clarified before it gets reviewed? Would that be something you might do too, or just kind of whatever we give you is
Whatever you submit is what you submit.
okay?
If there's something blatantly missing, we will give the organization an opportunity to provide that. But with any other granting entity, once it's in, it's in. So,
Yeah.
all right. Great.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Dr. Stellar?
Yes, I have two questions. One is regarding the pillars. We know that the pillars are highlighted. Is it a benefit to be addressing more than one pillar? Or just wanted to ask that one first, and then I have another question.
You don't get more points if you're addressing more than one. You get more points in our hearts, but you don't get more points on paper.
Thank you. And the other also question is, we are hands-on during the day, so sometimes we won't be able to attend to our phones. Is it possible for emails to be sent rather than
You
phone
have
calls?
your email. Well, you have to provide your email address in the application. If there is a need for us to be in touch with you, we can indeed send an email.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Other questions? Anything that you're thinking of, this is the time to ask it when you have all of our attention right here. Yes, Valencia.
Yes, thank you. So with regard to the audited financial statements, we've been, this is our 5th year anniversary, but because during that startup period, it was cost prohibitive for us to do like audited financial statements. So what do you suggest for that? Would that eliminate us from applying?
Did you submit tax returns?
Yes.
Submit the cover sheet of your tax returns.
Okay.
What I would recommend, I'm vastly aware of the cost of nonprofits trying to get audits done at early stages. I am the founder of not-for-profit in New Jersey. Get it, understand it. What I will say to you, though, you have to budget for this, because as you want to apply for bigger grants from bigger funding entities, they're not going to make the same type of concessions. So it's, and find volunteers who can do, you can find people who will volunteer to do audited statements. This is where you need networks to help branch out to people to help you with that. But provide the covers of the 990s for the years that you have, and then an explanation for those years that you might not have.
Okay. No, so we have all of the years.
Great.
But there
Good.
was a second piece to the part where you said audited statements.
What I said was, I understand.
Okay.
But moving forward, to the extent that you can, try to find someone who might be able to do audited statements for you for the years moving forward.
Okay. Got it.
Got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Doctor, I do not want to bastardize your last name. So Dr. Camellis, there you go.
Yes, Ezugo.
I'll need to say it a few times before I get it.
Sure. So the question is, you listed the diocese and the counties and, that is involved. What if the job of, let's say, the nonprofit would extend to other dioceses that's outside these, the ones you listed that is within your diocese?
I'm going to be clear again. The Episcopal Diocese of Maryland encompasses the counties that I mentioned. If you are in PG County, St. Mary's County, Montgomery County, Jason, fill me in on if I missed any of the counties, or in Easton, they are not the Episcopal Diocese of Maryland. A very different, each diocese has their own governance funding. This is specifically for the Episcopal Diocese of Maryland. Now, if you have a program that is operational in the Diocese of Maryland, and those funds are going to be focused in the Diocese of Maryland, it is fine if there's a connection to another diocese, but the work has to be done here in the Diocese of Maryland.
Good.
Okay?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I saw. Okay. Other questions? Okay. If there are no other questions, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. We wish you God's speed as you do the work to fill out these applications. Know that as a diocese and as a religious organization, there is no requirement, obviously, for any of the applicants to have any religious affiliation, be associated with the Episcopal Church in any way, shape, or form. But do know this, that as this season opens up for the application process, we will be praying for your applications to be received. And when we receive those applications, we will be praying with them, through them, and over them as we go through each stage of this process. I want to tell you that our committee members take this work really, really seriously. And they look forward to being able to help make a difference with you. So please, if you have additional questions or concerns, please email reparations@episcopalmaryland.org for any questions that you might have. Remember, you can do all your narrative in the application and save it for later, but do not upload anything that needs to be sent until the very last step. Just as a reminder. Finally, clear, concise, to the point. Clear, concise, and to the point. If you need somebody to help you edit, to get you into that word block so that it's very clear about what your goals and objectives are for your program, please do that. Sometimes too much is exactly that, too much. Give us the meat of what you're looking to do so that we can be very clear about and so that we have a clear understanding of what it is that you're trying to do. With that, I bid you all a good evening. Thank you so much again for the time that you have spent, and we look forward to receiving your applications. God's peace and Godspeed to you. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
If the committee
Everyone have a
member-
good evening.
You too.
Thank you.